Well, a huge thank you to Ollie there. And yes, as Ollie mentioned, we are going to start our dialogues here at HCI 2025 Day 2 with a global perspective on human capabilities as an economic catalyst. And I'm absolutely delighted to be welcoming our esteemed panel. So first and foremost, please give a very warm welcome to His Excellency Khalid AlSabti, Advisor of the General Secretariat of the Council of Ministers and Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Education and Training Evaluation Commission for Saudi Arabia. A very warm welcome. Thank you so much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please give a very warm welcome to His Excellency Wamkele Mene, Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area. A very warm welcome. Absolutely delighted to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. And now please give a very warm welcome to the Honourable Dr. Zambri Abdul Kadir, Minister of Higher Education for Malaysia. Wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much. And now rounding out our panel, please give a very warm welcome to the Honourable Professor Adolf Mkenda, Minister of Education for Science and Technology for Tanzania. Thank you so much. Please be seated. Wonderful to have you all here. And yes, what a fantastic way to kickstart Day 2 for us with a global perspective, as mentioned. Now, when we think about the future of nations, we often hear the words like innovation, technology, and infrastructure. But as the Minister earlier so rightly said, what truly drives progress is, of course, our people. So investing in human capability is one of the smartest and most impactful moves any country can make to boost its economy. So, as I mentioned, really fantastic to have you all here. Now, Your Excellency, I'd like to start off with you, if I may. Now, as we mentioned, the only way to move an economy to an advanced one is, of course, quality education. So how can strategic investments into the quality of education really help in this knowledge transfer and this knowledge economy here in the Kingdom?
Let me start by saying it's a pleasure to be here again in the second HCI conference. Organizing this conference for 2 consecutive years show Saudi Arabia's strong and ongoing commitment to human capability development. It's part of our Kingdom strategy for sustainable economy and knowledge-based economy as well. This efforts is reflected, this commitment is reflected in a major national programs such as Human Capability Development Program and the allocation of significant resources to education in the national budget, as well as the efforts of many entities such as Ministry of Education and others. These efforts represent more than just investment. They signal a strategic shift towards building competitive, innovative, adaptable national workforce for the future global economy. Within this context, ETIC, the Education and Training Evaluation Commission in Saudi Arabia, plays a significant role in enabling and assuring the education quality across the entire ecosystem. We at ETIC, we lead and push the quality agenda through evaluation, assessment, accreditation across the entire ecosystem. And also we do the assessment at the different levels, teachers, students, programs, and institutions. At ETIC, our vision is to become leading, globally leading, and high-impact Saudi model for quality and contribute directly to the national development and economic prosperity. Addressing your question more specifically, at ETIC we partnered with international global organizations to study the impact of education quality to economy growth And currently, we are finalizing a study with the World Bank, and the findings are very encouraging and promising. The results show that if Saudi Arabia raises the education quality to the international average or above, it could achieve a huge gain in the economic growth, especially the GDP annual growth. Traditionally, education measured by the years of schooling has been seen as a major driver for economic growth. However, recently studies show that there is a shift from the education quality, education quantity to education quality. Cognitive skills measured by international exams such as PISA and TIMSS has shown that it's more important and critical for driving economic growth compared to simply years spent in the school. Cross-country studies show that the differences in the quality of education explain, it's the strongest factor explaining the variation in the economic GDP of the countries. International leading organizations such as IMF, World Bank, and OECD emphasize this. Yesterday in the conference, Professor Hanushek from Stanford, who spent a lot of time in his research trying to explain and identify the correlation between the quality of education to economic growth, he reached to a conclusion that the differences in the PISA score among countries can explain 3/4 of the variation of the economic growth in the country. So that almost 73% of the differences between the GDP of countries can be attributed to the differences in the PISA score, and this is so huge. In ETIC, we are committed to advance the agenda for quality, for the education quality agenda, and our model is to become globally leading high-impact Saudi model for education quality that contributes to national development and also economic prosperity. We are in a partnership with international organizations, and OECD has documented and shared our quality model, and now it's considered to be one of the leading quality models globally. Ultimately, what we are trying to do at ethics is to push the agenda for quality education in the country, and we are committed into achieving that. And also, we showed, and we will continue showing with the international partners, that the impact of quality of education, the impact of education quality to the economy and its prosperity and growth is real, and our government is committed in advancing the quality education quality agenda. And our also goal is to empower the Saudi citizens to be globally competitive, innovative, and to drive the transition to knowledge-based sustainable economy.
Very, very well said. It's very impressive to see what's happening here. It really is, especially with that Vision 2030. And as you mentioned, it's very much about empowerment and making sure that everyone has these lifelong skills as well, in fact, which is what we're going to be talking about a little later on. So thank you so much, Your Excellency. Thank you. Moving on to His Excellency Wamkele Mene. Wonderful to have you here. Now, the African Continental Free Trade Area very much looks to strengthen intra-Africa trade and investment across all sectors of Africa's economy, of course. So tell us a little bit more about the role of multilateral institutions, including yourselves, in all of this, and how they can better support countries in order to make sure to sort of align human capital with economic integration.
Well, thank you very much. First, let me appreciate the invitation by the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for this very important dialogue that we have yesterday and today. Our mandate really is to build an integrated knowledge economy, an economy that is based on digitization and digitalization, And that means that as we create this single digital market, we will require a particular set of skills to power and to drive that economy. We have a protocol on digital trade, which is the legal anchor that will create this digital economy. The continent of Africa has an advantage. We have over 60% of our population, that is 1.4 billion people, over 60% are below the age of 30. If you take, just by way of an example, a country like Liberia, over 55% of people in Liberia are below the age of 30. And this demographic shift, it requires us to adapt how we train people for the workforce. It requires us to adapt the character of our economy. And so that is why we are placing a very, very strong emphasis on the digital economy, mobile banking enabled functionalities, digital learning. All of these different areas of the digital economy will require a specialized workforce, specialized skills, as Honorable Minister was saying in his opening remarks. Now, the skills that are required for that to power this economy that I describe will they determine that they require that we collaborate with the private sector. The private sector has got to be absolutely at the fore of co-training with governments, co-training for this digital economy that I am describing. There are foundations also, the MasterCard Foundation, for example, the Gates Foundation, that are partnering with multilateral institutions, with ourselves, with individual governments to offer this specialized training that is required. In the protocol on digital trade, we have very clear provisions on digital inclusion, particularly of young people. And second, we have provisions on skills, digital skills acquisition. The digital economy, as I keep emphasizing, has very, very peculiar demands. We have payments platforms, mobile banking platforms, data sovereignty, movement of data across borders. We have artificial intelligence. We have a range of different digital economy functionalities. And that's why this emphasis on skills development for the digital economy is so absolutely critical, so that by the year 2050, when the continent of Africa has the youngest working force in the world, we are capable and fully equipped to be able to respond to the demands of that particular economy. And you can't make that leap to the fourth industrial revolution or the fifth industrial revolution without the requisite skills force to drive and power that transition into the digital economy. So by emphasizing on this issue of the digital economy, we're addressing Africa's imperatives for digital inclusion. At the same time, we're building a skills base for this economy. And third, we're creating jobs on the back of innovation. So we are very much excited about what the future holds for us.
Yeah, very exciting indeed. And of course, the next generation has got completely different demands at the end of the day. They're working in a very different landscape, a digital landscape, as you mentioned as well. And the opportunities with youth, especially, it's very similar to here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, of course. The opportunities within the youth are very inspiring and hopeful indeed. Over to the Honourable Mr. Dr. Zambri Abdul Kadir. Wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much. Now, Malaysia, speaking of the digital age, Malaysia has very much been strengthening its education systems to very much align with future workforce demands as well. So how is the ministry ensuring that university curricula is very much aligned with training programs equipping students with the right skills needed for this new type of workforce. And I know you're doing very incredible things. Do tell us.
Thank you very much, Laura, for having me. Let me take a moment to congratulate the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for organizing this very remarkable and visionary program. It is, for your information, my second year coming here. By the way, as we see from the economic perspective, if we look at the transitions that has been happening around the world, that is the shift from the resource-based economy to capability-based models. This has been unraveling everywhere, that we have to embrace into it. And Malaysia also come along this way because we are being part of the global community at large, and then being an open economy. And for the next 5 years, digital economy will form about 25% of the total GDP. As such, speed is the essence for us to change the entire fabric of our education today. So what we have done for a couple of years, in fact, we keep on doing it, keep on changing our structures of education. First, we have come out with our new national higher education blueprint. This is the planning for the next 10 years, from 2025 to 2035, focusing on the purpose of higher education by looking into the entire spectrum of education development, because we cannot simply pick up one aspect of education at the expense of other areas of education. So as such, we're going to give emphasis on the humanity-centric and purpose-driven, with the ultimate aim is to build our nation for the next 10 years ahead. So looking at this shift, we have identified 10 shifts from internationalization into sustainability, as well as giving special interest in the whole fabric of society that we want to produce. So that's one aspect of the entire roadmap that we are moving forward. That's one. Another area that we are working on is to unbundle our current education system. It seems to be a little bit rigid. Therefore, as we've been talking about the need to be more adaptive, more current in our approach. Therefore, we are looking all the necessary steps. For example, we cannot simply lump everything together into one, as far as the higher education is concerned. Therefore, we have to really separate the technical education, the higher education, and also providing a seamless pathway to technical education. As we know, in the many parts of the world, you have education in the technical education, vocational educations, for the secondary schools, for the high schools, but sometimes they have to end up at that levels. Therefore, we have to relook into the entire system, that is to provide opportunities for all to go into higher levels of education, to upskill their capabilities. This is one of the areas we are looking at. In fact, for your information, the Malaysian government has formed this National TVET Council, chaired by the Deputy Prime Minister, bringing all 1,345 TVET institutions under one strategic umbrella, to work together, to move into one direction, to provide the digital facilities and to train our generation. And we also have been working with the high-tech leaders and also high-tech companies such as with Amazon Web Service. We are aiming to provide about 400,000 students to be able to communicate through LLMs models. So that's part of our overall planning. And as far as the university curricula is concerned, as a minister in charge of it, we have reviewed everything. In fact, we have formed what we call the university consortiums, or we call Nexus program, where we bring all universities, all professors, all experts in the field of AI to sit down together. You must not work in silos, because all knowledge is quite widespread. So it's time for us now to bring everybody together to think ahead about what next to be done for the country, especially from now onwards until 2035. Those are best, briefly, some of the programs that we are doing for the country. But of course, we must also look into the very purpose of having this, program. We may have our noble purpose of creating new countries where people are connected, highly connected. But at the end of the day, we need to also build a prosperous country, harmonious country, for not only for the society and then for the whole over. So basically, those are the whole entire ecosystem that we are trying to create for our country, vis-a-vis our region as well in ASEAN. This is also in line with the position of Malaysia for this year as an ASEAN chair. Thank you.
Very impressive ecosystem you've got set up there, very much with this global mindset that was spoken about earlier, making sure we got those international connections as well. So thank you so much to the Honourable Dr. Zambri Abdul Kadir. Thank you so much. Moving on now to Professor Adolf Mkenda. Really fantastic to have you here as well. Minister of Education for Science and Technology. Thank you, Your Excellency. Now, as I understand, Tanzania has also very much been investing in education and skills development. And there was actually in 2003 a whole educational policy reform as well. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that, what's happened sort of 2 years on as well, and also how you're very much aligning your education system with economic transformation.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me express our appreciation to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the hospitality and for this wonderful initiative, of which they made us part of it by invitation. Yes, Tanzania gained independence in 1961. When we gained independence, almost over 70% of the population did not know how to read and write. We didn't have any university. Education was a luxury that only very few could afford. We have made progress since then in terms of making sure that you have access to education for all, fee-free education up to high school, and highly subsidized higher education in Tanzania. And the literacy rate now is over 80%. And over 75% now make transition from primary education to secondary education. However, this linear progression is facing new challenges. 3 things very important. Number one, the demographic dynamics of our country, of which I think before 2050, the population is going to double, creating huge challenges in terms of employment opportunities. And secondly, a globalization, which is a huge opportunity, but also can be also a challenge in terms of competition from the rest of the world. And the last one is the explosion of technology, including AI, which once again can be a huge opportunity, but can also create huge dislocation in the labor market and create huge, not only economic challenge, but also political challenge. Because of that, therefore, this linear progression now, we are making a radical review in terms of a new education policy in the country to try to address all of those. Number one, we are increasing the number of years of compulsory education in Tanzania. However, more critically, we recognize that it is not true that everybody has the same aptitude to academic. There are those who are more proficient in terms of skills and those who want to follow liberal education and so on. And because of that, the primary education, once you finish in Tanzania, we have decided to create 2 streams. One stream is for general education, where those who are interested in general education, academic and so on can pursue. The other stream is skills-intensive education, which is both technical and vocational education, where our youth can learn not only technical education, they can do agriculture, they can do hospitality industry, they can do music, sports academy, and so on and so forth. And then they will continue to progress up to high school, of which the general education will just continue with normal 2 years and wait to go to either university or other colleges. But for skills-intensive vocational, the vocational segment of secondary education, they will go for 3 years and earn diploma, which will afford them an opportunity to gain employment, or they can also continue with higher education. So that's one of the major reforms that we are making. And the reason we are doing that is to prepare youth with requisite skills. And we want to progress from, right now we are starting progressively, but we think down the road, maybe 50 or more than 50% of the youth who go to secondary school will go through TVET kind of secondary education and proceed. We are reintroducing polytechnics. Globally, polytechnics have been disappearing in favor of higher education in universities and degrees, but we are reintroducing it as part of the higher education for those who are going through the skills-intensive stream, so that they can acquire requisite skills for globalization, for job opportunities, and so on. But in terms of, now let me talk a little bit about AI, which is the currents across the world. You hear people talking about how we can use AI in education. So that's the main discussion going on. And we are also discussing that. We have introducing things like coding in our curriculum to make sure that students are starting to think in terms of programming and so on. Computer science has increased and so on. But apart from using AI as a device, as an instrument for education, we are also asking ourselves, how can education increase our AI capability in the country? That we should also be in the frontier of production of AI rather than just being consumer of AI. And through that, we have increased funding and scholarship for STEM in the country. We have introduced a campus from Indian Institute of Technology in Zanzibar, where the main focus will be AI and related sciences. We have Nelson Mandela African Institute of Technology in Arusha that draws students from across Africa. It's a graduate university. The focus is science and technology, and AI will be one of the areas that we're going to do. But this budget, we are going to set aside a fund that will start to send youth abroad to study in areas where they can both study their degree in AI, but at the same time get an opportunity for apprenticeship so that they can, again, because AI itself is going to create a number of job opportunities of which our youth must be prepared, and we should look at the entire world as an area where our youth can seek employment, but at the same time we should have capabilities to handle and produce AI knowledge apart from just making use of it.
Very impressive indeed. And as you mentioned, we've got to make sure that we instill these lifelong skills at the end of the day. So very impressive to hear what you're doing over in Tanzania as well. So sadly, we are running out of time, but I wanted to throw over to His Excellency. Maybe you could leave us with a call to action here today in terms of what we need to do to promote human capabilities as an economic catalyst. What would you like to leave us here with today?
I think, as mentioned today and also yesterday in the session, in a number of speeches and panels, there is a growing consensus that education quality is the foundational and the main driver for economic growth, not only in this country, but in all the countries. So we need to focus on the quality. We spent so many years and maybe decades on quantity, spreading the education and services across the cities, villages, etc. But now we need to focus on the quality. And this is the role of ETIC, which is the Education and Training Evaluation Commission in Saudi Arabia, is to perform the quality assurance, quality control on the entire ecosystem, K-12 education, higher education, and vocational training. Today in Saudi Arabia, it's a very, very special day. We started the 4th cycle of measuring the learning performance on all the primary and intermediate schools in the country in mathematics, science, and reading. This is the 4th cycle. We started this program 4 years ago, and we will test in 2 weeks 1.5 million students in all the cities and the villages, more than 20,000 schools. And then we will issue every year a performance card. We will publish it through a platform, IT platform, and it will be all that schools, they can access that platform, and it has the KPIs. Each school, they can see their performance, how they compare themselves to other schools, to other directorates at the national level. It's similar to the international exam, but international exam, they focus on a small sample, but we going in all the schools to test 1.5 million students. And then we use that outputs in the school evaluation program. We started this also program with collaboration with the Ministry of Education. And we are also finalizing the first round to evaluate all the schools and issuing a classification for all the schools. We have 4 categories. And also this week is a very special week. We enable and empower the parents. We have almost 2 million parents in the country. We empower them to access to the school evaluation report for their kids. So they can go into a mobile app, we call it Mustaqbalhum, through the iPhone or the other mobile. They can see for each of their sons and daughters small reports. What is the quality of their school? Is it grade 1 or grade 2 or grade 4 or grade 5? We have 4 categories, and also what are the sub-scoring for each subcategory. And then hopefully within 2 weeks, 4 weeks, we will have it in the public domain so that each Saudi citizen, expat in the country, they can identify the high-quality schools and the mid-quality schools and the low-performing schools, so that they can. We are trying to enhance the decision-making at the family level, because we believe that the quality of education is the future to everybody, to the kids, to the students, to the families, to the nation, to everybody. And nothing is more important than the future of our sons and daughters. So this is why we are enabling the parents. We are trying to re-engineer the partnership between the parents and the schools to make it more positive and collaborative, to enhance the quality of education to their sons and daughters. For the school evaluation program, we are using data intensively. We generated 1.7 billion data points using the different evaluation schemes and 360-degree evaluation. We engage the parents. We ask the parents, we ask the students, we ask the teachers. We engaged 10 million participants, and we sent specialized individuals to visit all the schools. We spent almost 5,000 trips to the entire nation, and now we have detailed performance report for each school. It's in the IT platform. And we reached to this classification based on 1.7 billion data points. So in average for each school, we use almost 60,000 data points. So we think it's very accurate, and we will improve it as we go. But this is only part of our program and strategy. I know we are running out of time, but we believe that this is the future of the nation. We need to, this is why I said in the first reply to your question, the government of Saudi Arabia is committed to advance the quality, education quality agenda. And the aim is to empower the Saudi citizens to be globally competitive. And we believe that we are in the right path with the Human Capability Development Program and the collaboration among the different organizations. I can go more. I can go for more if we have time, but
sadly, I think we are going to have to wrap up quite soon.
Okay.
But please do say your final comment.
Okay. My final comments, we would like to congratulate the teacher, Mansour, for the Global Award. And this is why we believe that teachers, they are the most important factor in the education. And there are too many studies that says the quality of any education system cannot exceed the quality of the teachers. And this is why we started the teacher licensing program 4 years ago. Now we reach 70% of our teachers in the K-12 system, they are licensed. And the Ministry of Education has issued a directive that each teacher must be licensed before they join the profession. And this is why we believe that they are the main ticket for bringing our education to the quality phase. Thank you.
Very impressive indeed. I think that deserves a round of applause.